This is a special presentation of Wave 31 Sports.
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental Big Game Friday night. Hello, Alabama, find a comfortable spot. We got high school football and it's coming out hot. Now here we are and the lights are shining bright. We've always been. Yeah, Wave 31 is rocking all right.
Big Game Friday night. Max Cohan, Trevor Denton.
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental Big Game Friday night.
A battle between two high-scoring playoff teams in Week 0. West Morgan and Randolph meet in our Big Game Friday night Game of the Week.
We have a banger of a theme song, banger of a rivalry game of the week. The Black Bears and the Tigers meeting in our 58th time in our rivalry Game of the Week.
It was absolutely a great night for high school football. So many games going on around the state. Max Cohan joined by Trevor Denton. And Trevor, after a long summer, Week 0 finally here. I mean, we know, because we did 31 teams in 31 days. It has been a long summer.
Yeah.
And man, we've been waiting for this night.
Well, Max, this is my first Friday ever in the state of Alabama. I knew everyone's saying it's amazing, the environments are great, but actually seeing it in person, it definitely lived up to the expectations. The crowds were fantastic tonight. The intensity was high, especially for only Week 0 when you think about it. Mind-boggling to think how intense these environments already were tonight.
And of every game on the schedule, I think it's safe to say one of them stood out to us.
Yeah, that's definitely right. We had West Morgan and Randolph. I drove out to West Morgan to talk to their coach, Drew Phillips, in the lead up to this game. He's built quite the juggernaut over there in West Morgan, no doubt. Been there for a few years now. They just always reach 10 wins. It's like Alabama making the playoff every year. They get 10 wins like every single year, it feels like.
Yeah, West Morgan, a team last year that seemed like they were scoring 50 points every time out. Randolph, another very solid team, a team that's looking for their first region title this season, something that they were hoping that they could get the right foot going towards tonight in our Big Game Friday night Game of the week. So absolutely, a game we anticipated being very, very close. Didn't really end up going that way, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Of course, we anticipated that would be the case. Two high-scoring offenses, but not quite the way it went. West Morgan lost a lot of people from last year. Interesting to find out right now. Could they still get it done with the replacement players they have?
Let's head over to Garth Road, where Paige Meyer has our recap.
It was a slow start Friday night at SportsMed Field. A lot of strong attempts, but the scorekeeper didn't have to work it all in the first quarter. The Rebels tightened their chin straps, which led to a 10-yard touchdown run by 23 Makari Johnson. And it's good for 6. After the turnover, Randolph now down 7, trying to get their offensive going. Quarterback William Mitchell has a nice completion here to number 11 Graham Beatty, giving the Raiders a first down. But Randolph's aim for redemption finds an interception by West Morgan's number 8 Ty Jones. The Rebels turned Randolph's mistake into a quick 6 points as quarterback Titan Parlow passes to number 10 Joshua Garland for a 30-yard touchdown. And it's good for the extra point, putting West Morgan up 14-0 at the half.
All right, that was a pretty great game, obviously, for West Morgan, not so much for Randolph. And, we had a lot of great games tonight. Let's check in on some of the other big meetings we had tonight. One about a powerhouse of private schools. Mars Hill and Madison Academy. Of course, the Panthers and Mustangs have only met once before in a 21-14 MA win last year, but Daryl Higgins' squad would waste no time tonight. Already up a score, the Panthers are on the attack. William Mann rolls right, finds Caden Chandler, who barrels his way through heavy contact for a big game. Oh my God, and Mann, guess what? Doesn't have to throw the ball next time to punch it in, as his line clears the path for another Mars Hill score. Bob Godsey's squad would struggle at home. They couldn't get much going as Mars Hill wins against Madison Academy 34-7.
Offense is so spread out now. It's cool to just see someone ram it right into the end zone with a little QB sneak. Tonight, several area schools sneaking in some new head coaches. That set up for quite the unique scenario over at Hazel Green High School. The Trojans hired Fred Ferrier to replace Charlie Wilburn as their head coach. Guess what? Wilburn, now an assistant at Huntsville, and that's who Hazel Green faced off tonight. Nothing like running into your ex in Week 0 of the season. The Trojans looking to run into a good season after going 0-10 last year. Well, good start for them. They forced the turnover on downs. The Panthers were going for broke. Wyatt Smith heaving one towards the end zone, but they can't get the completion on fourth down. But they couldn't contain the Panthers forever. Next drive, Luis Jackson Spencer, 3 names, and he seemed to break about 3 tackles every time he got the rock. A true difference maker. Later in the drive, plunges his way across the plane to get Huntsville on the board, and they win a shutout during week 1, 27-0.
All right, well, let's swing over to Madison City Stadium where the reigning 7A Region 4 champs were starting their title defense against Gardendale. Last year, the Jets proved to be mightier than the Rockets in their season opener and hope for the same result tonight. And when you get a hole like this, you have to exploit it. And Anthony Gideon Jr. does exactly that, breaking free and leaving everyone in his tracks as he breaks free for a long James Clemens touchdown. And when you score one like that, you have to go celebrate with your guys. Madison City Stadium is going crazy after that one. But hey, Gardendale can run it too. Deacon Dyer keeps it and finds lots of green grass as he picks up a big gain for the Rockets, but they couldn't keep up with the Jets, who win 17-10.
Tonight, Florence traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on Hillcrest. First ever meeting between the Falcons and the Patriots. Wish that was also the case in the NFL. And Kenny Morson's squad was playing keep up in this one. Hillcrest found the end zone time and time again, not only on the ground but through the air. Man, that type of catch is not even fair. Hillcrest ends up winning this one 32-20. Then in Hoover, Sparkman battling Spain Park. The Senators have gone an even 20-20 the last 4 years. That's a good number for your vision, but a medium one on the football field. We'll see if they can get over that hump in 2024, but in order to do that, they'll have to wait for week 1 as they can't win in week 0. Spain Park taking this one 38-7. Looking at teams that are trying to make a statement this year, I mean, you cannot ignore Athens. Father-son duo, Cody Gross, and then his son Brogan at quarterback, trying to start off 2024 on the right foot against Mae Jemison.
Yeah, and history favors Athens in this one as they won both of their previous meetings with the Jaguars. So let's head out to Wicks Family Field for the first American football game of the season on HCFC's home turf. Scoreless in the first, Athens is facing a third down and Brogan Gross tries to find a man downfield, but a Jag takes him to the dirt, forcing an early Eagles punt, but Mae Jemison couldn't get anything going, so Athens gets another try. This time Xavier Edwards takes the ball and shows off his stiff arm on a nice run, but that drive would also come up empty. A bit later in the quarter, the Jags would get lucky on special teams. This punt is a moonscraper, but when it finally returns to earth, it bounces off the leg of Ben Seibert and back into Jemison possession. This time, they'd actually get the chain gang moving. Jaden Burrows drops back and lets one rip downfield and into the open hands of his guy wearing the 5. But like many drives early in the game, it would end up without a point. The Eagles would go on to win it 21-6. All right, we are just getting started here on Big Game Friday night, but it's already time for us to call our first time out of the night.
But don't touch that remote, because next we're heading out to Morgan County for our rivalry game of the week. That's right after this quick break.
Stay tuned for more Big Game Friday night. You're watching Big Game Friday night. Go Panthers!
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental Big Game Friday night.
All right, welcome back into Big Game Friday night, everybody. Well, with every single season comes some coaching changes. We've already seen some of those earlier in the show. Hartselle, one team looking for their first win under their new head coach.
Yeah, and while Bert Newton and the Tigers were hoping to pick it up at home, longtime Austin head coach Jeremy Perkins and the Black Bears had some other plans. And guess what? It was a beautiful night for football at JP Kane Stadium. And if you look at the scoreboard, it was clearly a beautiful game as well. The one thing the scoreboard will not show you, this game went to double overtime.
Crazy.
Wish we could see the plays to see exactly what it was that led to this score, but you have to imagine with a game that close going to double overtime, there were some pretty insane things happening.
Yeah, and that's where the conditioning, all the work you did in the offseason comes in handy for a marathon of a game like that. Decatur, 7-3 all time when it comes to their series against Buckhorn, but last year, Buckhorn actually bucked that trend with a thrilling 26-21 win late in the season. Well, tonight we got the rematch in week 0. Didn't have to wait until late in the season like that game was last year. Fun fact, both these teams scored the same exact number of points as each other last year. Spoiler, they didn't score the same amount of points tonight. This one not going to overtime. Decatur trailing 27-13 at the end of the first half. Their quarterback, Zane Pointer, trying to make some magic happen. He ducks and dives defenders to pick up the first down with his legs. Next play, Pointer trying to do the same thing again, trying to do some improv like he's in the groundlings, but this time he's going to hit the ground. A herd of Bucks swarms him and wrestles him to the ground for the sack. The Red Raiders unsuccessful, and John Ritter's debut as head coach, yet another debut there as the Bucks hunt down a 33-19 win. An update on some other scores. Boaz and Madison County have had some close games the last few years, as you can already see on your screen. This one not the case. Pirates winning 47-7. Then in a classic rivalry, Deschler and Russellville meeting for the 98th time ever. The Golden Tigers win 35-21 in the battle of those felines.
And after an ultra-successful run at Sylvania, Tyler Van took his dream job at Scottsboro. He didn't have to wait long for his first big test as the Wildcats took on the other Wildcats from Fort Payne. And what a successful debut for Van as his team pounces on this one, winning the Battle of the Cats 31-6. And over at Milton Frank Stadium, it's an old-time Huntsville battle between Lee and Grissom. The Tigers have won their last 4 meetings and wanted to make it 5. Already up a score in the second quarter, DJ Paget takes the handoff and rumbles. The Tigers would ride him into the red zone, and once they made it, number 1 eyes 6. Quarterback Seth Lieburn steps out just inside the 5 as Grissom is knocking on the door. But head coach Rich Dutton would switch things up to finish the drive. It's Tristan Taylor under center, but he'll give it to Keyshawn Barnes, and he'll spin out of the tackle and into the end zone for a big Tiger touchdown. That would give them a 21-6 lead, and they would hold on to win this one 41-6.
East Lawrence and Lawrence County High School are separated by just 11 miles, yet they haven't faced off against each other since 2017. We went ahead and changed that tonight. These two Trinity teams finally renewing the rivalry, and it's Lawrence County getting the better of East Lawrence 52-12. Speaking of old rivalries, Cherokee and Colbert Heights faced off every single year from 1984 to 2019. They were back at it again tonight with the Wildcats taking home a win over the Indians. Louis LeBlanc has built a winner at Westminster Christian. The Wildcats tying a program record with 11 wins in 2023. A lot of teams in this state named the Wildcats. They kicked off the season against a team from 5A, the East Limestone Indians. Houston Scott hands it off to Evan McClure, who rumbles and stumbles his way downfield for a massive gain, putting Westminster in a great spot. From there, doesn't take long for them to punch that thing into the end zone. Scott on the keeper, and Houston, we don't have a problem at all. The Cats take the lead. The Indians would try to claw their way back into the game on the ground, but the Westminster defense flexes the muscles on them. Still, the East Limestone line pushes their guys ahead for more than a few extra yards, and they come out victorious with a 42-20 win. With highlight shows like these, seems like the offense always gets the love, Max.
Yeah, but we're about to change that. We'll show you our defensive play of the night coming up after the break.
Stay tuned for more Big Game Friday night. You're watching Big Game Friday night.
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental Big Game Friday night.
Welcome back to Big Game Friday night, everybody. Well, we promised you defense. Max, we would never lie to the good people at home, would we?
No, we meant it. And this week, our play of the day just so happens to come from our game of the week. So let's head back out to Garth Road for this showdown between Randolph and West Morgan. Raiders trailing early, so they look downfield, only to find Ty Jones. How about that pick? Congratulations, Ty. That will earn you the Landers Nissan Defensive Playoff of the Week. It would also help the Rebels win the game.
The Sylvania Rams have won 28 games the last 3 years, making for one of the better stretches in all of school history. But could this golden age continue with head coach Tyler Van now calling the shots across the lake at Scottsboro? The Rams not able to muster much offense in week 0 as they fall to North Jackson. They are for real 14-6.
Let's take a look at some of the teams that were in action tonight around the state. Over in the Shoals, Wilson is coming off 4 straight 1-9 seasons, hoping to match their win total from those seasons tonight against Rogers, but the Pirates quickly put that plan to bed, 42-17, while over at West Limestone, they took on the Clements Colts, and that home field advantage propelled them to a 48-7 win. Over at Elkmont, the Red Devils were searching for their first ever win over the Falcons, and they got it, barely scraping by 22-20, while over at Brindley Mountain, it's a meeting of two new head coaches, with both Jake Pittman and Matt Putnam each looking for win number 1 with their new programs, and the Patriots win 22-8 over the Lions. Speaking of new coaches, our next game features a familiar face in a new place.
That's right, stick with us. All of the action from Gere Adcock's first game at Whitesburg coming up after this quick timeout.
Big Game Friday night.
Hello, we're the Randolph Raider Pep Band, and you're watching Big Game Friday Night on Way 31.
I just love that music. I feel like I wanted to be a conductor, in a past life. Just
I think you'd be great at
Going-
it. You just got to go like that, right?
Yeah.
There might be a little more to it
there's
than
like
that.
that little stick thing,
I could do the triangle. I think I could definitely do that. I'm going to get the Randolph Band on my Spotify playlist. They were absolutely jamming out today. That was awesome to see.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, they couldn't power them to a win, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to some football. For 28 years, Jerry Adcock led the Decatur Red Raiders. Then he retired at the end of the 2022 season, spending 2023 off the field before he came out of retirement to take over the Warriors.
That's right. Tonight he put the headset back on the head and came back as Whiteberg welcomed Cleveland to town. And they say defense wins championships. Well, how about this move by Parker Miller to get to the quarterback for the sack? And once the Warriors had the ball, they made some moves. How about Tobin Jaeger going into a full sprint for a big Whitesburg pickup? For some reason, Cleveland's head coach would go into a full-blown fit of rage after that one. Not happy with the blown coverage, perhaps, but it wouldn't change the drive too much. Aiden Cook would still end up in the end zone. Look at that. Some anger on the sidelines. It shows you the passion already in only week 0 of the season. Aiden Cook still ends up in pay dirt for Whitesburg for the touchdown. Cleveland ends up winning this one, though, 18-16 in a low-scoring slugger of a game.
Let's move over to West Morgan High School, where Decatur Heritage was hosting Sheffield tonight, and they go on to win 42-22. All right, let's turn back the clock to last night for one of the first games of the 2024 season over at Madison City Stadium, where a bit of a wild start to the season had Bob Jones and Coleman. A penalty on the opening kick results in a Patriot being ejected, but that wouldn't slow them down. On the first play from scrimmage, Bob Jones goes all the way. Johnny Jackson hits Reese Dorsey, and a couple cuts later, he is into open space, and now it's a foot race. No one will even come close to the explosive junior as he's in for a quick 6, and the Pats would flex their muscles on defense and put the ball right back in Jackson's hands. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They go right back to Dorsey, and man, this kid is good, making the leaping grab and then stopping on a dime to send the defender to the grass as he trots in for his second touchdown of the first quarter. And for the first time since 2020, the Patriots won their first game of the season, 48-12.
All right, well, before we sign off for the night, we would like to thank all of our radio sponsors for making tonight's show absolutely possible, Max.
And of course, a massive thank you to everyone behind the scenes. There are so many people that you guys don't see. It's not just the two of us. I mean, there's another guy in here that you don't even know about right now. We got an EP, we got graphics people, sound people, and of course, all the shooters. If you thought we could shoot all these games on your own, you're crazy.
Yeah, we got people doing multiple jobs, moonsaulting from one place to the next to get everything done, and it's been so fun to see this thing come together. Can't wait to continue it throughout the season, continue to build on this week 0. And to finish this week's show, we'll end things the same way we do every week with our big game Friday night Top Lights.
Good night, everybody.
Delivering the ball carrier around the right side. Got Barnes, the ball carrier around the right.
This is the West Morgan Mighty Rebel Band, and you are watching Big Game Friday night on White 31. 1, 2, ready.
You've been watching a special presentation of Way 31 Sports.